Sadly, no. I feel like at some point
No.
that could have worked with the Ags.
No.
Like with
it
the Ags,
couldn't.
and it could have. I think with the Ags, it could have.
You're a
Some time ago,
ridiculous
but not
person.
not
You know
anymore.
that, John. You're a ridiculous person.
I'm.
You're
I
sadistic.
get
That's
it.
your problem. You're a sadistic person.
It comes true from my Indonesian friends. I play with them. They're like, "Oh, John, you could run this as a support." It's like, I see your mindset. I'm not gonna try it, but I appreciate the creativity. Not gonna happen for Polaris. OB.Neon, they get the Slaughter Skyrat Mage, so it does look like a more support mic. Maybe a Slaughter support.
Yeah.
Either one. Like it's either Slaughter offlane or Mars offlane, with either one being on the support role. And the Skyrat Mage, it's a pretty good support to have on hand. Good slow, good damage coming through with the stuns you do have with Mars and Slardar. Although the Spear is the bigger setup. So Spear into Mystic Flare is going to be amazing damage. And the Silence can cut through a Lifestealer quite nicely. The Arcane Seal can just prevent the Rage from coming through, give you ways to control. The Slaughter Bash working through Rage as well is very good to keep that Lifesteal locked in. So I think OB.Neon have kind of built up a really good draft to handle what Polaris has on hand. Big issue still that remains is, say, Phoenix Egg. They can kind of hit it down with the Gyrocopter, but they will have to watch for the Fire Spirits. It's only really the Gyro so far. I guess Skyrat may just range and can try to manage that as well. Polaris do go into the Sand King, so there's some flexibility here. They could try Sand King mid if they want that for Mac, as we've seen a couple of times. They could just put that in the off lane still, run the Pangolier and Phoenix as supports. So it's still fairly open, and I think for OB.Neon, they're going to have to think twice about their mid matchup if that Sand King will be flexed towards that mid.
We'll see. A couple more banouts to come. I think you are right in saying it's probably going to be a support Mars, by the way, John. I think the Slaughter against Lifesteal are just very, very potent. Even if the Slaughter doesn't feel that in meta, it just does very well against a hero like Lifestealer. Final banouts, though. Looks like the respect ban of the Makoto TA is there. Maybe just feeling like you want that secondary kind of pos one to fall back on for Makoto. Won't have it now, though. Could still have some like the Storm come out from Makoto. I mean, you never know. He might want to run a mid Skyrat, though I highly doubt that.
I like it, Mike. You're getting creative.
No.
Mid Skyrat. We haven't. The last time we saw that was when we were casting EU for some reason, and Sexy Bambo randomed it. Remember that? When
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sexy Bambo. He told us not to say, but they did run out of reserve time and they randomed the Sky last pick, and that did end up going mid. So that was a long time back, like 2-3 years ago. Don't think it's gonna come back in, but that would be spicy if they wanted for Mikado. If he's feeling confident, that'd be cool.
Could be, John. I again highly doubt it's going to be mid Skyrat Mage. Thankfully, probably not going to go down that route. Polaris. One more ban to go. Still looking to just ban out the mid lane, I think. I mean, he's still got options like the Void Spirit. All the spirits just seem fine here. Void Spirit, I think, particularly good here against the Lifestealer, but they'll get rid of the Storm. So they are going to respect ban the Storm Spirit against Makoto. I still think Ember works. Void Spirit works. What other mid heroes are there, John? What have we been seeing? I mean, Lina works, but they banned that up themselves. They're going to go for Quap instead. All right.
Yeah. I was going to say that. It's a really good game to jump in and out. I think the Quap burst damage lines up very nicely with the timings the entire team has. You have a lot of AoE coming through from OB.Neon with Mars Arena to set up. So you can Sonic Wave inside that. You can call down. You can get a good crush from the Slaughter there. Even a Mystic Flare. Although Mystic Flare in multiple heroes doesn't feel great, it is still good damage coming through. So it ties in with this aggressive lineup from OB.Neon. It gives them damage through Rage as well. The hold of Polaris is not amazing. Maybe once you have that blink in the Sand King, you can blink Burrow Strike to lock down the Queen of Pain. Beyond that, right now, their support stuns aren't there in lane. It's only really until both Pangolier and Phoenix hit level 6, and that's when you have some stuns in the supports. So you're lacking some control. They close out with the Ember. So it looks like we will get a Sand King off lane, Pangolier support, Phoenix support as well. Matchup for Quap versus Ember, fairly even. I think the Ember Spirit does have a lot of ways of dancing around it, but we have seen Queen of Pains, when they do skip Blink and go for a 2-0-2 build, with the dagger and the scream, it's really manageable to trade a harassment out. You have good sustain with the dagger, surprisingly strong early on if you do prioritize it, and that is something Mac will have to watch out for.
No, absolutely. With that, we are about to head into game 1 of this best of 2 series, John, but I'll ask you the difficult question before we do go in. Who do you think that has the more favorable draft between these two? Because again, a lot is on the line, at least for OB.Neon.
I think OB.Neon's draft is pretty on point. They have so much control with a Slardar, with a Gyrocopter, with a Mars even. It is a support. Mars coming through for John Uwell. You know, the guy's used to running strange supports. He ran that support troll. So we just saw the support Mars not really pan out. We'll have to see if he can execute. But I think overall, the synergy coming through from OB.Neon is a lot stronger. AoE control is great. Early timings are there. Even with a Gyrocopter, it doesn't take too long to get online. For Polaris, Lifestealer against Gyrocopter can be a bit iffy. There can be kiting issues with a Slardar on hand. You mentioned the lane matchup for Slardar into Lifestealer. It's already pretty good. I think Natsumi's going to have to watch out for that. And for Polaris, it feels like they're relying heavily on Nico to hit a blink timing to even hope to catch out Mikado. So we'll have to see how quick that is. I think OB.Neon just has the timings to play with this game.
Sure. We'll move into it. Game number 1. See if OB.Neon can get this done. They basically just need one victory here in this best of 2 to proceed through to the lower bracket. Army Geniuses, somewhere out there are just watching this matchup, I'm sure, to see what lies in their fate for the Pro Series Season 8. It currently lies with Polaris Esports, and how good they feel today. It's Polaris, if they're able to somehow pull off a 2-0 victory, they're still in the running for AG. See what they get done. And of course, for Polaris, I mean, you just want to win. If you can win, just take the win every single time.
Yeah, you just want to get yourself a good start. Again, maybe it's in their best interest to prevent themselves from facing up against OB.Neon in the playoffs. So just want to nip that problem in the bud here by securing a 2-0. Who knows? That could be the mindset as well, as we do get a nice pause coming through, as is tradition in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Been missing for a couple of series now.
Always fun when it's the last series of the night as well, John. You know, it's always makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I've also found out I'm going to be waking up very early tomorrow morning, so there's that. It doesn't help.
Yep. Some good timing there. Yep. But it is what it is. Should be a fun time. It is raining quite hard, at least in my area. That's why it's been a bit
so
strange.
lucky with that. I love the fact that you say it so sadly. Like, I would love if it was raining non-stop in my area. It just doesn't, though.
No, it's a weird rain. It's raining, but the air is kind of warm, and it's been raining for a while, so it just feels slightly uncomfortable. It's a bit cooler now, but when the rain was first falling, like I think at the start of the last series, it was weird because it's a hot rain, you know, and the sun was already gone, but it was still a hot rain.
Right.
That's not comfy. You just end up being humid and hot, and it's sticky.
I mean,
nice.
I guess that's fair. Like, with the humidity, you wouldn't really want more humidity with the rain to come out. So I suppose I understand, John. I mean, cold rain is really where you want to be at, right? Like, you want that freezing cold kind of weather when it's raining and just feels so much better.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on here?
The dream.
What are they drawing? I mean, it's not obvious what they're drawing, but I'm starting to get some weird feelings here. What is that? Is that like a hat or something?
Yeah, a hat into a very badly drawn tic-tac-toe line. Who is drawing that? That's our artist Mikoto, I believe.
All right.
Oh no, it's our artist Mac.
Uh-oh.
Very artistic.
Well, Genuel's reconnected. Looks like he is still experiencing issues, unfortunately. Just have to wait this one out.
Time.
Prepare for a lesson.
No, that's what Natsumi said. He's like, TYT, take your time.
Oh, that's what it means. I was about to ask, actually. I didn't know what he was trying to say, but thank you for that, Natsumi. So
you get used to it in Southeast Asia. Some polite people say that. You can see Natsumi's a very polite kid. Very nice.
Very good indeed. He doesn't really get to make the decision, John. Every team does have a pause time that they have to kind of abide by.
You know what disturbs me? Mouse over Lifestealer, in the pause, his jaw still moves. It's nothing else, just his jaw.
Yeah.
It's just so strange. It's like, it's disjointed as well, right? Because he's like got a dislodged jaw. It's weird.
You know, don't judge it. Everyone's different, John.
30 seconds to battle.
I have noticed that though. I have noticed his jaw does continue to move throughout the pauses before. But we are back underway, game 1. Bounty rune's yet to spawn up. Natsumi gonna put a cheeky sticker down there, and well, he's not part of the team anymore. But I guess you've still got the sticker. The spear does not connect Genuel. I have to allow Boomy to just walk his way out on the Pango.
The battle begins.
Meanwhile, topside, Hustler. Concussive shot out onto Natsumi, but it's not going to amount to much. We find to just take the bounty and walk away. In the end, a 2-for-2 trade. Pretty even kind of start between these two.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting lane breaking out here for OB.Neon again. We're running the off-lane Slaughter with a support Skyrat Mage. Not here we see too often. The combination here is really strong. Slow into stun can come into play. Up against a life stealer. You've got a stun true. The spell immunity of Natsumi. Of course, Natsumi can kind of play early if he wants to get a right-click trade off, but generally with the bashes coming through from Slaughter, doesn't really favor the life stealer. CML is hanging around with Natsumi on that Phoenix. So he's going to have the dive. He's going to have the fire spirits as well. Hustler asking if they're already in boot camp in Manila. Not yet. No. That's a big... Hustler's been excited to go to the Philippines. He's been pretty pumped up by his teammates.
Right.
I believe he's been told to try out some pancit canton. Natsumi makes it a small no. He's been excited to try some pancit. Maybe getting on that tender, juicy jumbo hot dog action as well. Would be one way to get around that.
Is it you keep referencing that damn jumbo hot dog thing? I believe you were actually eating some in the break, were you not? Like just beforehand.
Yeah, we've got leftovers, leftover hot dogs, so I just kind of heat them up, and there you go. Nico, 032 Hustler is 032 not. Hustler was never in 032, but in spirit, I suppose. Close friends, everyone here.
Yeah, absolutely. Still a bit of a chase here onto Genuel. Adroit Nico. I mean, I guess so. You've had a lot of jumbo hot dogs today, John.
Yeah.
Had enough hot dogs yet, or gonna have some more after this?
I mean, it's down to the ad. The question is, kaya mo ba to? Which means, like, can you handle it? I'm trying to prove a point. I can take the jumbo hot dogs. I'm growing up now. Can have all the jumbo hot dogs I want.
Thank you, John. Good to see you're really getting into those jumbo hot dogs. Very, very good. Balls will continue here between these two teams. Still Genuel, the one that's experiencing some Kale, some lag issues. Reconnections there. Hopefully everything is fine. Now Natsumi needs a second. Well, there you go. This is standard, isn't it? One of them has internet connection issues. Other team's gonna have someone in the toilet. Oh no! Immediate pause. Max like no. Now there's a mouse problem, John. How many problems can we have in one game? We haven't even started yet. It's 22 seconds in.
You know what I'm surprised by? It's Southeast Asia. We've never gotten a cockroach pause.
True.
That's the one thing that surprises me. We haven't gotten a pause for a cockroach yet. I think it happened once for us, but beyond that, I think that's the only thing I'm looking forward to the pause. So, do get into the game. Mouse issues resolved. Fortunately, it wasn't a real mouse. It's just a computer mouse. As I think an actual mouse problem would be an issue. As we look at the bot lane, Nico is there in the Sand King with Boomy running around in Pangolier. Of course, there's some early control that can come true from the side of OB.Neon with the homing missile and the spear combination. It does come out.
Yeah, it does. Boomy is going to go down immediately. Unknown able to pick up the kill straight off the bat for the side of OB.Neon. Definitely great news for the gyrocopter. Pretty darn bad news for Polaris.
Yeah, it's a good start. Getting off on a good foot with Mars, and that is something you have to watch for in this lane. There's some early aggression that can come true with the magical damage as well from Unknown. He does opt for flak, so I think he just wants to have an easy time playing with the last hits from afar. For Nico, Sand King lane, like Burrow Strike is nice. Down line, you just want Sandstorm and I think Caustic Finale. You don't really have the strongest chain stun combination with Burrow Strike and Shield Crash. It's good damage, but not really enough to melt a Mars, and the Gyrocopter should be far enough to be protected. So this should be a manageable lane for Unknown. We'll see how much more he can get out.
Nico's stunned out. They want to try and get aggressive again. Nice spear back, but it lands on no trees. So Boomy Gonna be just fine, and I think they wanted the Sand King anyway. You're missing out on Nico. There's certainly a lot of aggression from the safe lane of OB.Neon this far. Of course, over in the mid lane, Mac and Makoto are going at it as well, and the Queen of Pain and Ember. For now, Makoto ahead in terms of CS, but it is still a pretty close kind of affair between these two. I think we already kind of talked about this this laning phase in the draft. It can really go either way, just depending. It's more about kind of outplaying each other. As I say that as well, Boomy going to go down a second time. Unknown picks up his second kill of the game already.
Yeah, he got a pretty deep chase to get that done. Does miss out on a couple of CS, but well worth the kill. And that should set Unknown up for a really good ramp into the power treads, into that Ags. And you have to watch yourself. Again, the synergy with Sand King, Pangolier isn't amazing. And that just leads to some nice early farm coming out from Unknown. Going back to that mid, I think looking at Mikado, he did opt for 2 points in the Shadow Strike, so he does skip the Blink. And that's the one thing that enables the Co-op to hold this lane a lot better. You trade damage out and regen out with a Shadow Strike. It can make it a bit tough for the Ember to find that clear advantage. Mikado does drop low, not low enough to be shoved away, and he has a massive wave right by his tower.
Yeah, now with the Shadow Strike, he's just going to passively heal himself up. Mac has no real way of purging that off, so a bit unfortunate, but Makoto, nice little bit of regen to come in now. Of course, over at the top lane, you've got Xiao Yu and a Hustler there. Going to be against Natsumi and CML. Natsumi, even though he is against a Slaughter, isn't really struggling too much at the moment. It's like Xiao Yu's kind of gone towards the side camps anyway. In fact, CML now may get caught out and does. Hustler the one to pick up the kill on the Skywrath.
Believe me.
I'm kind of shocked to see Natsumi still farming so well on the Lifestealer, but it doesn't really seem like they've been laning against each other much. Like Xiao Yu's kind of just been pulling the creep wave away and just farming the small camp.
I think it's the back and forth trade, because when the Lifestealer comes out with 0-2-2 with 2 points in Feast and Ghoul Frenzy, a strength hero like Slaughter can be ripped to shreds. So it's always a bit of a risk for the Slaughter to kind of just keep trying to line up for the bashes. If Natsumi can just keep getting the hits off, and if the support Phoenix is there to lay on some more DPS, the Lifestealer can maybe win out. So you're better off just trying to pick off the Phoenix, slow him down, and that does mean that Natsumi has a good start, but they're getting the chain stuns off now.
Yeah. And you are being chased down bot lane, but Natsumi top lane definitely in massive trouble as the bash does come through, and Xiao Yu, he'll have enough in the end. Genuel, bot lane still trying to run away, and well, they landed the last Fire Spirits, but it won't matter. He is going to survive through it. We'll make his way back over to the fountain. So again, great news for OB.Neon. Currently 4-0 in their favor. Not even dropping a death yet. And every lane's just gone their way.
Yeah, Polaris just getting punished for having that early rotation coming through from CML. The moment the Phoenix left the lane, they know that there's no counterplay potential from that Lifestealer. Again, if they had the Fire Spirit slows, that would have been delaying the stun enough from the Slaughter that the Lifestealer could have gotten a little bit more from his right clicks, could have sustained himself. They are still building up some decent stacks coming through though, with CML going in the jungle, but they don't have the best clear from their Lifestealer, so that's more than likely just going to go Max way, and it's not going to help correct the slower start. Well, not necessarily a slower start, but that one death on Natsumi, and he does have to watch as the levels ramp up, but the Skywrath Mage and the Slaughter will look to be even more aggressive.
They will. Xiao Yu, level 3, bash the deep now, so Natsumi definitely has to be a lot more cautious. Bot lane, what have we got going here? Genuel, he does drop, but Nico falls first, and again, it's another kill out to Unknown. Boomy, he's trying to get some damage out and trade, but in the end has no mana to spam out a spell, so Natsumi's going to survive, or rather Unknown's going to survive through it. And again, that's the third kill of the game to the Gyrocopter. I mean, if you don't want to feed the kills the Gyro's way, if anything, John. I mean, he's the one guy that's going to catch up in net worth anyway, no matter how bad of a start he has. But giving him 3 kills this early on, you're just kind of spelling out disaster for yourself.
Yeah, it's not boding well for the side of Polaris. It's such a good start for Unknown. He's going to be able to clear out some of these stacks built up in the triangle with relative ease. He is rushing the Ags, but shouldn't be too long until some of those parts come online. And the side of OB.Neon are starting to clump around mid. They get Hustler out. If they get a good silence off with a seal, that could be a nice easy kill on the Ember despite having a Remnant. So Mac's going to have to watch how far he goes.
Mac. A little bit of a gank attempt there by Hustler, but not going to amount to much as Boomy comes in, fills up the bottle of Mac. And that little reset as OB.Neon still just trying to dominate these lanes out for now. As you see Natsumi working towards that armlet. Pretty standard stuff for the Lifestealer, but top lane Hustler going to move in onto the Phoenix. Won't have the backup of Xiao Yu though. He lands the concussive shot, gets the silence off, but it's not going to amount to much.
Dire's middle tower
Not yet anyway. But he has the spells back up. If they want to move in right now, they could. It's like Xiao Yu, kind of just happy hitting creeps for now. Is at the top of the CS board and is actually going for a Midas build up on the Slaughter, which is something I can't say I was expecting, but I suppose when you're farming this well, you may as well pick one up.
Yeah, we've seen a few Slaughter offlanes do this beforehand, and it does help you maintain farm pace as the hero really doesn't clear out creep waves all too well. So this does give you a stable source of farm and EXP, which is really important for the Slaughter to hit the spikes. And he's not being punished. So at the end of the day, if the greed works, then it works. No real punishment coming through. Mikado, he did rotate up top, but didn't find the angle. Instead opts to clear out the stacks for himself for now. And we'll stack up the Ancients for their Gyrocopter clear out down the line. 5-1, 8 minutes in, 1k lead still stands for OB.Neon. Not a massive lead yet, but they are set off in a really good start. Like Unknowns up at the top of the net worth board. Gyrocopter's just having such a free game. Mikado's already working around the map, looking for stacks, clearing them out. And that's going to hold back the progression for Mac on the Ember. He needs as much farm as possible to have that early presence. And he's still saving up for his phase boots flying in now.
Oh, bot lane, Unknown, dropping very low, but you've got Genuel there to help out, and they are not going to be able to finish the job. Polaris, they're going to keep chasing down this Mars, but now Makoto, oh, he whiffs the Sonic Wave as well. Just an absolute mess down at the bot lane as the spear doesn't even land. Nico, he's not going to get clipped by it, and now the rotation's in from Mac. Onto Makoto. He's completely out of mana. He's got some stick charges, but I don't know if that's going to be enough, and it won't be. They secure the kill onto the Quap. Into Genuel now. They should have the Mars. No remnants left for Mac. He'll wait out the Slider Fist. But misses it. Genuel just hides in that tree line very close by to the right and does actually make it out.
Good punishment coming through from Polaris. Very big kill onto Mikato. They do make it work. Rather unfortunate whiffing that Sonic Wave, but with that space, OB.Neon has been forcing up the top lane. Tier 1 set to fall, 300 HP left. And they are kind of opening up the map a bit more. For the side of Polaris, sure, you're giving Natsumi some space to farm. Lifestealer doesn't farm particularly fast.
A nice little pick up in the mid lane there from Hustler. Able to just secure it on his own with the Mystic Flare and Concussive Shot. One of those things with the Skywrath Mage, as soon as you hit that level 6 mark, it's quite easy to just pretty much kill anyone you want. So great news for him, while top lane Xiao Yu chasing down CML for quite a while, but in the end, not going to be able to keep up with the Phoenix. We'll have to let him go. But he does have the Midas up, and you look at that net worth board, it's all 3 cores of OB.Neon at the top. So definitely happy days right now for OB.Neon. And Polaris, they're the ones that need to try and play the catch-up game.
They have a lot more to close out, especially with their Lifestealer. The big worry is trying to play farm with Lifestealer is a slow process. They will smoke up though. Nico, he's got the blink. So they can look to play aggressive with the burst strikes. They've got the Rolling Thunder ready on Boomy. They do not have Egg, but just those 2 spells alone might be enough.
Kodo trying to make the dive in onto CML. However, Epicenter Burrow Strike from the side. Nico, not going to have enough. Makoto barely escaping from that scenario and does get salved up by Hustler. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Natsumi trying to focus down that T1 tower, but Genuel is there with the arena. Problem is you had the Rage and Xiao Yu was unable to get a bash off. So in the end, Natsumi going to be just fine as now Mac has rotated on the Ember. Where you going though, Mac? Just slowly chip away at Xiao Yu, but ultimately won't be able to get too much damage off. Instead, however, does find Hustler on the Skywrath, and they do manage to secure the kill. They still get something for their trouble. If they can make their way back over to that bottom tier 1 tower now and just try and sort that out.
Radiant's bottom tower
They
is under
can
attack.
even out the map control by getting that push going, and should open up a little bit of room for Natsumi to take an active position. He does have his arm flying through, so he could join his team. He could go for the infest plays onto Mac if they want to be aggressive. The worry is you're still not closing the gap between the Lifestealer and the Gyrocopter. Unknown's still up there. His Ags is just about 700 gold away, and once that's up and running, Unknown's farming rate, Unknown's durability starts to go up a little bit more. It's going to take a much more concerted effort to kill off the Gyro if you do spot him out. They are still lining up around mid, and I think for Polaris, this is a really good time because they hit their teamfight spikes. They only really need Egg to be up on CML, but once that's up, with the Rolling Thunder, with the Epicenter ready, with the mobility they have on Mac, they can look to jump around and just force the issue at any lane they want to choose to.
Mid lane, they are having a look at CMO right now. So if it's going to be too easy to just burst him down, and I guess he had no mana for the egg, but it won't matter because they aren't going to make the jump in. Instead, bot lane, Xiao Yu going to be chased by Natsumi. So only has the Midas to really work with right now. Stun, not going to land as the Rage was there, and with the Rolling Thunder out from Boomy, they might have enough, but Xiao Yu is going to try and fight. Natsumi, though, just proving to be way too tanky at the moment. Meanwhile, Nico on the side, Epicenter burrows out onto Hustler. Still not enough to actually kill off Hustler, but with the Sandstorm, they'll have the damage. Only problem is Makoto is able to finish off Nico's life. So 1 for 2 in the end. Makoto, he'll walk away with the 1.
And still a nice kill to get for Mikoto. He is very close to just finishing up his Orchid. So once that is fully up, the rotation should map out a little bit better. Mac.
Mac should be alright. Shoot out the homing missile with the Slider Fist, but Unknown is still doing some substantial damage. Already has the Ags up, and now Arena's down. Genuel does catch him with the spear, but Mac still going to be okay. Does back his way out. TP's back to the fountain and is going to be just fine. So in the end now, OB.Neon, 2k net worth advantage. You still got your Gyrocopter farming up very nicely here for OB.Neon, but Polaris, they are on the hunt. Nico with the infested Lifestealer moving down towards that bot side. Unfortunately, the only option they have is Hustler. And he's going to back behind the T2 tower, so they don't even have that option left.
Just missing out on kill opportunity. They don't have the most aggressive wards here on Polaris' end. They don't really have that much vision down bot in the jungle to get the kills going. The side of OB.Neon have smoked up his tree, so they can look to make a play. Arena's still on cooldown, and so is the Sonic Wave, but they've got that Orchid up in the Quap, and that could be all they need.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
There you
attack.
go. Xiao Yu with the blink up. Natsumi going to get stunned, and they should have the follow-up bashes with the Orchid from Makoto to make sure there's no rage, but Nico's there with the Burrow Strike, and Natsumi, he's going to get out. Just barely. They threw everything with the kitchen sink at him. It just doesn't work.
Just not enough damage. If they had a Sonic Wave up at that point, would have been a nice clean kill, but they did choose to jump in while their big spells were on cooldown with the Arena down as well. So just a bit of a missed opportunity there for OB.Neon still.
Mid lane. Well, they found Nico. In the end, I mean, they get the savior that was Nico to Natsumi, but maybe now with the Sand King down, they can still set up that mid-tier 1 tower. Kind of make it worth their while. And it seems as though that's going to be the idea. Mid-tier 1, Unknown with the Ags up, still doing a lot of damage. I suppose still feels very confident to just fight out, but in the end won't overextend. Will still back off, for he does see the rotation in from Mac.
Yeah, there's some good team fight left in the side of Polaris. They've got the egg. Respawn was fairly short for the Sand King, so Burrow Strike is up, and they will smoke. Boomy, CML, Nico can look for the angle. Again, if they get the Rolling Thunder, Epicenter, and egg off, that could be a really big fight.
That it could be.
Dire are scanning.
Nico on the way up top. Unknown, that's the target you'd love to find. Burrow Strike gonna land. There's your Infest pop out, and the Epicenter Unknown. I don't think he has enough HP to survive this one. He's gonna drop it. Genuel drops the Arena. Maybe they'll go for a bit of a trade, but it's not looking like the team fight. The CML will dive in. Hustler trying to secure a kill with the Mystic Flare, but they are going to share the damage. Big Sonic Wave, though. Makoto still trying to turn this one, but there's yet again Xiao Yu. He'll try to focus the egg, but the disarms there. Boomy will not allow it. He'll get stunned up, and OB.Neon. They get destroyed up at this top lane. As Mac will have a look around for more. Makoto, he does at least get Boomy on the tail end of that team fight. So it ends up being a 2 for 3 trade. But still heavily in the favor of this Dire.
Yeah, they get the bigger end of the stick. They kill off the Gyrocopter, who's been having a pretty free game before that. And they slow down the pace of OB.Neon just a bit. There's still a 2k lead riding for OB.Neon. They've still got some pretty good spikes coming through. I think the next step is maybe getting John Yuel a blink up, so they can kind of follow through with a Quap jumping in, get the arena off, get the spear off as well. It's just hard to commit, right? Like, Mars into Lifestealer is not a great time for the Mars, so you're still relying mainly on the Slaughter to get that follow-up stun with his own blink. But if you don't have the follow-up for the Slaughter, then it can kind of fall flat. Polaris, they're going to line up for the mid now. They don't have Egg, they don't have Epicenter, they still have the Rolling Thunder somehow. So there's still that option for a big team fight if it does break out.
Mac needs to be careful. Hustler, he's looking for the silence out and does manage to land it, but do they have the follow-up damage? It doesn't seem like it yet, but Xiao Yu, he's in with the stun. Mac, he's going to get the Yules off, but Spear is going to fly right through him. They've got the Ember. Does cost them quite a bit, but they'll get it in the end. Now CML forced to back off. Makoto looking around, trying to find a straggler. They've got that mid-tier 1 tower now. It's what they really wanted. The Mac kill, just a bit of a consolation on the side.
Yeah, they get more control on the map. They protect their triangle by taking out that TP access point from Polaris. Polaris, for their part, still trying to get some farm up, still trying to get more going in the tank. We are looking like a Yules build up here for Nico for self-protection. He is fairly close to finishing it up, and that should be a full item going. So he can kind of purge off the silence from the Orchid on Mikato.
Yeah, he tried to jump in after the Pango, and he does get him, and barely makes his way out. Just had to commit the Sonic Wave to finish the kill, as now Hustler is also going to get caught, so Polaris able to fight back down to this bot lane. Even though Natsumi's still behind Unknown on the Gyro, he's still proving to be a pretty big problem on this Lifestealer. A lot of damage, very, very tanky kind of position 1. Even now working towards that Eye of Skadi for that added kind of slow and control here on the Lifestealer. That'd be a big problem if he is able to close the gap with that.
Yeah, it's that big spike once the Scotty's up. Like, you get the slows off, you can't run, it's hard to kite around the Lifestealer outside of Slaughter or Bash, and that's putting a lot of pressure on Xiao Yu to have to show up for these engagements once they do break out. Xiao Yu is saving up for his BKB, so he doesn't have much to worry about up front in Boomy.
Gets caught out again, Boomy, having a bit of a rough time. So no matter what side lane he goes to, he ends up dying. Now Smoke is up, Polaris. At that mid lane, but Unknown, he does have backup. Januel gonna bait for the team. Sleight of Fist is there, Burrow strike in. Unknown, he'll drop the call down. Arena is there as well. That'll hold down Nico. He's got no way out of this. Egg though in the back is gonna protect, but not for long as they take it down, and now Mac is in big trouble. He'll drop to Unknown on the Gyro, and they even found Nico. They left the Sand King behind for a little bit to focus down the Egg, but eventually they go back for him. And now with 4 heroes down, OB.Neon, they can just easily take the Roshan.
It's not going to take too long, especially with that Corrosive Haze up at level 2. So damage output's going to be good. Roche going to fall in a nice, speedy manner. Unknown is going to be protected by an Aegis or Mikato if they want him up front. And that's going to give more options there for OB.Neon to keep this aggression up. 6k lead coming through from OB.Neon. The Midas paying off for Xiao Yu. He's got the full BKB. And it's a fresh BKB with no charges Boomy.
Xiao Yu, he gets stunned up, but BKB is there, holds him down with the bash to the deep. Still, the Infest was out. Natsumi, he'll rush Hustler. Does get one. It's been a constant threat between Boomy and Natsumi, just the Infest Pango. Just always around looking to hunt a target down. And even find Xiao Yu again. Bash the deeps out. Xiao Yu, nice blink away at the right timing. But the follow-up is still... Oh, he's very, very close now as the Fire Spirit does eventually land. And now the Sunray should have given the vision over. Nico's so close you can smell him right now. Xiao Yu finally gets spotted out in that corner. And eventually they'll get through him.
Radiant's middle tower is under
Still more follow-up though. Boom. Excuse me, rather OB.Neon. Moving in. Boomy. May end up dropping. They will have enough with the Sonic Wave. Makoto will get it done. Natsumi, not so much. I mean, homing missiles there, but they're not going to go for the Life Stealer. Just way too tanky of a target right now.
It's a nice pick-off to kind of trade away. In the end, you did trade your offlane for support, so it does feel better there for Polaris. You are seeing Natsumi slowly but surely catch up to Unknown with this aggression. Like, his net worth is still number 2, it is still ramping up, and that Scotty timing we're talking about is still set for a pretty good point. OB.Neon are looking to kind of posture now with the Aegis though, making moves on that tier 2, but Niku does cut off the creep wave, so backdoor is going to kick in. They're not going to have enough time to really clean it up, and the TPs are coming out as well.
Rolling Thunder's there. Onto Unknown. He's just constantly being stunned up, and the Aegis is already gone. Boomy. He'll still have a bit more control here with this Rolling Thunder. Egg's going to be dropped. They've kind of mistimed everything, though, I think. Now the cavalry's incoming. Egg stun's not going to land. Epicenter to fly through, though. That might be enough damage with Nico. Arena down. No Unknown. He gets the BKB off, but it's not enough. Natsumi's there with the follow-up. Still, the rest will move in onto the Sand King, and they might get one. But how do you deal with Natsumi? Well, Mystic Flare's going to be dropped with the Ancient Seal. It might actually be enough. Xiao Yu's trying to man-fight this, and Natsumi eventually will die. Slaughter has enough damage. It ends up being a 3-for-3 trade as Boomy will continue moving in for Makoto, but he's gone too far. Mac wasn't close enough to help out. And now Orchid is there. Yule Scepter will purge that off. Mac should be just fine to escape. In fact, he's going to move back in onto the Quap. Chains out. Remnants forward. He's got the kill. A 4-for-4 trade. Tips to come out for Mac. You got to kind of admit Mac was a little bit lucky there with the Illusion Rune in the bottle. She able to purge off the Ancient Seal, and I believe there's just so many things to purge off. Still a great play though from Mac.
Yeah, it makes it work. Mikado just a bit greedy there, trying to look for the cleanup. Didn't quite have the spells to really burn through the Ember. And that's going to be a big spike for Mac. He's saving up for his Ags. Not too far off. Still a few parts away. But once he gets to that point, with the Ags up, with the Infest plays that can come true, there's a lot more aggression Polaris can line up for. OB.Neon still hold on to the 4K lead. They did take heavy losses up top, losing the Aegis, losing the Gyrocopter. They need to be a little bit more careful with Unknown. Without the Satanic running yet, it is still manageable to kill off the Gyrocopter. He is saving up for that Satanic though, but still a ways off with the gold. And while that's not yet up, Polaris can seek to keep forcing that aggressive posturing out. Really even game overall, despite that 4K lead on OB.Neon. And as the game goes on, it does feel like the Lifestealer plus the Ember could be an issue. Like, just the hold for Mac, it's not quite enough. You need to maybe commit the Ancient Seal, commit the Orchid, time those item uses right because of that yields. And there's a lot of coordination Neon needs there.
Well, they're at least going to find this Phoenix. CML will go down. Tips out to Nico as Nico misses the Burrow Strike. Now, Boomy will remind him of that, as Nico's just going to walk away in the Sand King. It's still a 4K net worth lead. Like, OB.Neon, then they haven't fallen behind yet. Still feels like they've got that major advantage. But at the same time, it still feels like quite a close matchup.
Yeah, it's still really close because Polaris is getting their aggressive posturing. They're hitting their power spikes. They're able to take some of these fights away from OB.Neon. And there is a pretty good spike for Mikado though. His level 20 is up, so he's got the AoE Shadow Strike. And that can be a lot more sustained than you'd expect. So it's 40 heals per tick in a wide AoE. Could be a massive amount of HP per tick.
Polaris. Just waiting for that epicenter. Nico just continues to pun fake it. Seems like OB.Neon kind of knows something's awry. Genuel does have his smoke broken, still trying to bait in. Epicenter's going to be there, but it's all a bait, I think. He's got help behind him. Boomy, though, with the Rolling Thunder gets the job done. Nico, he tried to TP, but he's going to get stunned midway. With the Sandstorm, they'll know he's still around. Genuel, he does buy back. In the end, it was only a Sand King left over. I'd still have to argue it does feel like a bit of a favorable trade, the way of OB.Neon, if you don't count the buyback, because now Mac's going to show up. Xiao Yu got left behind, apparently. He's a pretty speedy boy, but Mac is also a pretty speedy boy with that haste rune active. Run of Atos, though, and the Mystic Flare going to hold him down, but the Flame Guard does block off all the damage. Gonna go for a bit more now. Slider Fist off the mark. Xiao Yu will survive, but Genuel doesn't really want to die back like this, but has no choice. Nico will give the tip over.
Fails to see.
And so, immediate die back for our support Mars.
Yeah, it's the major item spike for Mac. He's got the Ags up, so the remnants just fly across the map. Lots of mobility on hand. Down the line, if they do want to join up there with Natsumi with the Infest, they can get a lot of pretty much global fights coming through. This has stalled out long enough for Unknown to buy up the Satanic, so you can live through a lot of these engagements, a lot better with the BKB plus Satanic active going, and that should lead to more forward presence for him on the Gyrocopter. Still have to watch yourself. Mac is still posturing around.
They are. Makoto gonna move in. Rolling Thunder. Boomy. Wait and seal out. They got the double silence in fact as now Xiao Yu unable to get the stun off. Boomy still with the Rolling Thunder. Gonna find the Skywrath with the Burrow Strike. Off the mark. They won't catch Makoto, and now the Sonic Wave to fly through, but the egg is in the back lines. They should have time to focus it down, and they will. CML, he'll drop as now Boomy, he will be the third to fall onto another. They've got Natsumi, they've got the bashes, but he gets the Infest off onto Mac, but where's the remnants? He'll get one out with the Ags. Xiao Yu wants to keep up the chase, but in the end, the blink was on cooldown, so they still get the Ember Lifestealer out of there. Just barely. And unfortunately for OB.Neon, Roshan still not up.
They have to wait a little bit longer, but we see that respawn timer. Side of Polaris, they do take some heavy losses, but Natsumi is pretty strong. He's got the Scotty up. He just needs to be careful how far forward he gets. Tier 2 is taken out, though. That will open up the outpost and secure them a good time in the next Roshan. No vision coming through from Polaris to spot the next Rosh. No access point with TPs, with a mid-tier 1 gone and top tier 2. It is a longer Roshan, though, 2-minute respawn. So OB.Neon can't quite press the advantage yet.
Walking out on Mac. He's going to purge it off with the Yule Scepter. Xiao Yu was looking for a blink in, but it was on cooldown. So we won't be able to blink in and get that stun off immediately after the Yules. Mac proving to be still very sneaky on the Ember. Very, very slippery and hard to catch. Making a lot of space for the side of Polaris. That space is, I'm sure, deeply appreciated by Natsumi. He's going to go for another Infest onto Nico. See if they can move in to that Radiant jungle and pick somebody off, but everybody's just kind of huddled around in that triangle. So OB.Neon seem to be kind of reading the movement here. They might find Xiao Yu, who does show himself now. Nico, gonna make the jump in. He does have help around, but it may not be there quick enough. So they let Xiao Yu die. And now Unknown gets caught out of the Gyrocopter. But he's gonna be okay. Still have the BKB. Just pop the Satanic to purge off the chains. So you got a Slaughter kill, but that's gonna be about it for Polaris. Now Roshan's still not up for another 40 seconds. So nothing to really come out of the kill. Xiao Yu should be there in time for that next Roshan to respawn.
You're still in a really good position here for Polaris. They have complete control of the bot jungle. They just need to take out the tier 2 tower to get the outpost trade in their favor. And they can kind of line up for that push. The bot tier 2 is still fairly healthy though, so it will take some time to pierce through that. The side of OB.Neon, there's a bit of a control problem, right? Like, you have to really chain stun Mac perfectly to have him stunned up, and with the Ags up, it's just near impossible with the Yule's protection as well. So they have to maybe target out the softer targets, take out the Sand King, take out the Pangolier and the Phoenix first before considering the bigger cores, as with a backup of the supports, and the sustain coming through from Phoenix makes it hard to pin down Natsumi. The mobility of Mac just cuts through the team fight. The Roshan does start though. OB.Neon's in position. Polaris on the exact opposite side of the map. They're not going to make it in time.
Yeah, free Roshan to go the way of OB.Neon. Bit of an error there from Polaris, kind of missing out on that Roshan. And they had some really good Roshan fighting potential, but just not quite there to get it done.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Instead, they'll keep trying to focus on that bot tier 2 tower. In the meantime, OB.Neon, they've already gotten the top tier 2, so they haven't got that objective to play for. Instead, now it's about finding a good team fight and trying to force high ground, I think, for OB.Neon. And that good team fight might show up down to this bot lane, where the push is still going here from Polaris. The TPs, though, looks like they aren't going to really be there in time. Maybe just kind of accepting the fact that Mac is going to get that tier 2. Instead, though, they're going to smoke up as 5.
Radiant's bottom tower
Move in through the mid lane and try to sneak up behind
Radiant's
the side
bottom
of Polaris and see if they can find something, as the outpost is going to reveal it's being taken. Xiao Yu going to jump in for the stun right on the Phoenix, and they'll just try to blow up CML. And for more, you'll scepter out. Hustler going to catch Nico. Spear is going to be there. Natsumi will jump right out. They've already lost Nico. They do at least get Genuel, but what does that matter? It's a support Mars. Mac being controlled up by the bashes out from our Slaughter, Xiao Yu. Meanwhile, Boomy trying to control the rest as they chase down Natsumi. They get the stun out. Natsumi, though, still sitting pretty healthy, and the buyback is there from Nico to try and re-engage in this team fight. Natsumi going to be just fine. Mac gets the chains out onto the Slaughter. Xiao Yu just going to run away. And in the end, Polaris, they commit one buyback. Still get a favorable team fight their way as they got 2 for 1. This game, it's still a 5k net worth advantage for OB.Neon, but it just feels very, very close.
It's a lot closer than you'd expect. I think that boils down to how OB.Neon are taking these fights. Again, there's an issue of locking in the Ember Spirit. There's an issue of keeping Natsumi down as well. They can't quite eat through him fast enough unless they get the chain stunts off of their Slaughter. But Mac keeps cutting off these fights. He's just so mobile with the Ags. Their only good silences are Ancient Seal and Orchid. And again, the Yules has been doing a good job of dodging it out, although...
Mid lane.
Nah.
Mac's going to be just fine. Top lane, Boomy. The Kodo. Meanwhile, oh, Mac is still going, apparently. Gotta be careful, though. The spear's going to fly through. Playing a bit on the edge there is Nico. He's still trying to pump fake the epicenter on the side. Never going to come out. Now Boomy. Roll through with the Rolling Thunder, but the Bash of the Deeps is there, and he might just die to the Flak Cannon. And he does. Another spear around, going to catch Mac immediately. Jump out, Sonic Wave is there. Makoto trying to blow him up. It won't be enough yet. They've got the Mars down, but Genuel's going to commit the buyback himself as they'll move in onto Xiao Yu, but he will happily man-fight Natsumi, but not for long. Natsumi gets a triple kill, and they get the Aegis down to the Gyrocopter. Unknown, BKB up, tries for the man-fight. Spear will do nothing with the Rage out, and Natsumi, now that he has broken the gap, gets the bash off. He gets the stun at the last moment, and that means Unknown is going to die for a second time. As Polaris, they just refuse to allow OB.Neon to even get close to that high ground.
They're doing a good job of taking these fights. It looked a bit dicey with Mac dying earlier on. The buyback just makes it work. The arena was nice, but the egg was dropped outside. They couldn't focus down the egg. The stun went off. The follow-up damage was there from Polaris. And OB.Neon now have to be a bit cautious. Sure, they still have a 2k lead. They don't have the momentum. Polaris are showing us that as long as Mac doesn't get caught out, he can just distract the backline, take care of the squishier cores, and buy space for Natsumi to get his damage off.
I mean, just again, a very, very close game. You look at the graphs right now, and the net worth advantage slowly just starting to dip the way of Polaris now, and the win probability has already gone that way. You get into this point where the lifesteal is just proving to be too big of an issue. Even, of course,
Radiant's bottom tower
Mac on the
is under
Ember.
attack.
Pretty big issue himself. OB.Neon, they've just got to maybe just play a bit more carefully. They can't really afford to lose team
Radiant's
fights
bottom
like that.
tower is under attack.
Oh, Xiaoyu.
Still, Mac's the one who gets caught out.
What?
He bought back earlier. Oh, Sonic Wave's mistimed, but it's not going to matter.
What? What? I watched Xiaoyu use the Slytherin Crush before the blink, and they still got the kill.
I know. What do you want me to say, John? CML. In onto Hustler. Egg's going to fly out. Boomy's there. Natsumi, he does get the kill onto Hustler and now moves in onto Makoto. And Makoto is just being constantly bashed out. Polaris, they find a double kill on Natsumi. As Boomy keeps rushing forward. And eventually they'll take him down, Unknown. Able to get the kill. Jinuel maybe looking for a bit of a spear back. Call down is there. Burrow Strike will land onto Xiao Yu. But Natsumi is not really 100% confident to keep trying to man-fight Xiao Yu, and I don't quite blame him. Does eventually back off. It ends up being a 2-for-2 trade there.
Yeah, it's a weird spot because you had the die back on the Ember, but OB.Neon can't really do anything to follow up with that. So it does feel like it's perfectly fine for Polaris. They still hold on. The network gap has shrunk. You don't have an item advantage anymore in the gyrocopter. With no real net worth advantage, Natsumi's matching your item pacing. So you don't have something big to just sustain you up front. Unknown is trying to go for a Scotty himself. He does have the Daedalus up. So the physical damage output is pretty good when crits fly through. The issue is Natsumi's very, very tanky. And he's got the bash. So even if you try to go in, try to chain bash him, he can chain bash you now. And it just makes it troublesome because they're relying so much on Slardar getting that stun, on Xiao Yu to get the control off. And it's not just the life stealer, right? It's also the Ember. Controlling Mac has been a consistent issue. They have been able to punish him outside of vision. So they get a good blink up. It seems like they can still catch out the Ember. But outside of those kinds of situations, the Ember with the Axe has just been a massive issue since he picked up that item.
Top lane, spear out. Boomy gets caught now on the Pango. Bloodthorn up on Makoto. A lot more damage now from the Queen of Pain. And the Iron Skadi being built up on our gyrocopter, so Unknown. Sitting very pretty now, but mid lane. They found Genuel again. Makoto, he'll pop the Sonic Wave, but it really doesn't do enough damage. Xiao Yu will get in. Remnants forward. Unknown. He'll try to take down Natsumi immediately, and he does have the damage in the end. They've got the life stealer. They've got Nico down, and they'll run right after Mac, who does get caught out another time with no remnants available.
Oh boy. That is a dicey position for Polaris. No buyback on the Sand King. Still no buyback on Mac on the Ember, as he did die back earlier on. They do have Natsumi buying back, at the very least if they need it. This is a massive opening now for OB.Neon to push on Tier 2, to go into the high ground on 2 lanes. Their top lane shoved out as well. And for Polaris, they still have Egg to play with, but they don't have the Burst Strike setup. They will have a Rolling Thunder in a bit. They could try to play around that, but looks like they might just surrender 2 lanes of Rax. That's a big thing to give out. And OB.Neon's going to be in a much more comfy state in this game. In fact, no, Unknown is just looking for Tier 4s.
Well, they don't have the buyback on Mac. They've got one on Natsumi. It's still going to be a disadvantageous kind of team fight to go for if Natsumi does commit the buyback, but he will. Unknown can't really tank through the sun rays, so does eventually have to go, but Boomy going to move in. Bit early though. CML going to pop the egg. They'll make the jump in on the gyrocopter. Unknown, he's going to try and go after the egg instead, but they've left it behind. So in the end, the buyback does at least pay off in the sense that you get the gyrocopter kill. In the meantime though, OB.Neon, they'll get started on the Roshan. And Xiao Yu makes very quick work of that Roshan, along with Makoto. And they will get the 3rd Roshan of the game.
They've got the Aegis, Shard, Cheese. They've got a lot on hand now to play with. And I think ideally you do give that Aegis over to your Gyro, but since he's not around, you kind of have to suffer with it on Mikoto. So we'll see how much they can get out of that second life from the Quap. Inside of Polaris, they've lost a couple of fights. They lost their mid lane. They're not out of game yet. They're gonna get an Abyssal out on their life dealers soon. Natsumi already having the Vanguard ready to go. So even more stuns coming through there for the life stealer down the line. And again, with Mac back up, as long as he doesn't get caught out, as long as he doesn't get surprised by out of vision stun, they should still be able to abuse that mobility and still look for the openings to get some key pickoffs here on Polaris' end.
They're going to try. They're not going to find much, though. Boomy unable to successfully find someone from OB.Neon. Just keeps running around. Smoke up though now, OB.Neon. Move in through that bot lane, but nobody remains here. They are just patiently waiting for someone to try and farm that creep wave, but literally nobody around at the moment here from Polaris. They are still hanging about across the map. And now they're going to go for a bit of a counter smoke. Aegis or not on OB.Neon, it's not quite on the target you would have liked it to be on. Polaris into the Radiant Chunk Triangle? No, they won't even bother with that. They'll just go right after that top tier 1. The exact kind of opposite thing happening across the map. Makoto will start working towards the bottom tier 1 tower. 12k net worth advantage, but it doesn't really mean much when you're this late into the game. Any kind of bad team fight and that whole net worth advantage just disappears for OB.Neon, so they do have to play it very carefully.
A lot more riding for Polaris. Natsumi, he still has 5 minutes for his buyback to be off cooldown. They have to keep trying to get as much as possible. Don't give any openings towards OB.Neon. The Abyssal is up now in the lifestealer, and they did take the tier 2, so they're going to force into the tier 3. Tier 2 bot for the side of Polaris still up. We'll see how soon they do TP back. It does look like Polaris is playing safe with the lack of buybacks, but they will look for the infest play perhaps. They're keeping down back top, back bot.
Rolling Thunder, Makoto getting it stunned up immediately as they get 2 with that, but BKBs are now out, and Makoto can just successfully turn around and go for the right clicks out onto Boomy with the Sonic Wave. They've got him. Egg down, CML, not going to last for long. Natsumi, he'll jump out with Nico, but he's just completely surrounded, still trying to fight. They've lost Mac as well. He'll commit a buyback on the Ember. Natsumi still in trouble. Blood Right's there. Look at the crits coming out. They've got him. He's got no buyback. On the other side of things, Xiao Yu, he's found out Nico, and eventually they'll find the Sand King to boot. He does have buyback on the Sand King, but it's going to be a 2 versus 5 scenario. And it looks like OB.Neon should have pulled it off as they get the Hex out. They've got the Bloodthorn, and that'll be it. Game 1 should go the way of the Radiant. And that should allow them to go through to the lower bracket of the playoffs.
Ooh, that was a extreme back and forth between both sides. And for a while it looked like Polaris were on the up and up, and for a while it looked like OB.Neon had it early, but a lot of back and forth fights coming through. Mac doing great work on his Ember, not quite enough to really get the work done there for the side of Polaris, and in the end, OB.Neon managed to hold on. In the end, the Gyrocopter was a bit too big. They did manage to get some good farm as well on Xiao Yu, and eventually, once the Hex was up, they had the control they needed on Mikado to really lock in the Ember, lock in the Lifestealer as well with the initial jump in. So that solved their issues in the last fight, and OB.Neon now feel great. You know, they are guaranteed in, I believe, unless one of our admins do tell us otherwise. I'm going to assume that. Polaris, they don't lose much from losing here. They already know they're going to be in lower bracket, so not a massive loss, but you still want to find those wins. We'll see if they can kind of turn it around in the last game for the group stage here.
Yeah, I mean, and I said they'd already made it through the lower bracket. I'm completely wrong, by the way. We're still kind of waiting to see if it's going to be a draw, because there is still a potential that AG might win out that whole judge thing, but if they get a 2-0, then for sure they're going through to the playoffs here, OB.Neon. So we'll see after this the second game. We're going to head to a short 10-minute break, and right after that break, we're going to be back with our final game of the group stage.